bitch is still pulling. 362. So we made 2 pulls so far. First pull it did 342, 346, something like that. That was only revving out to I think 5,800 RPM. Car's been perfect. Only issue we had was a map sensor was bad, but he had one here, so we swapped it out and we're ready to start tuning. Let me see, he's been in here just slowly bringing it up to RPM. We just did a pull to 6,100 RPM and it made 362 to the tire horsepower, 441 torque. And that curve is just as flat as you could want it. And at 6,100 RPM, it's still climbing. So gonna do another pull and run it up to 65. We're getting a little bit fuel pump limited right now. So we're having to bump up injector duty cycle some. So I think we're only gonna rev it to 65. But it's looking like, let's see, we did 362. If we add another 400 RPM, this thing is still pulling. We may hit 370 wheel, which would be, you know, somewhere around that 450 to the flywheel, which is more than enough for what we're doing with this car. So I'm very pleased. Everything's been good. No issues so far. She liked that.
Like it?
370.
370.
370.
Dang, it did like that.
345 torque.
He does it every time, a mile per hour. It's got enough. It's max out.
I see. Well, you know, sometimes you add that 1 degree and it'll stretch it out. And I think I started 62, 63 feet. I didn't bring it all the way up.
Again.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Was it the same number?
370.
370.
What an absolutely awesome day that was. Just a little rundown. So we got there immediately, got the car on the dyno strapped down. Kevin, the tuner for the car, went over it on the laptop, just got some of the stuff set as close as he could before running it, before making any pulls. Got everything pretty close. He made some changes, obviously, once it actually got running on the dyno, but relatively event-free. I mean, hooked it up, warmed everything up, ran it a couple little small pulls up to, 5,500 RPM. Somewhere around there, not revving it all the way out, and everything looked good. We did swap on a new map sensor. My map sensor that I had on here was not working. He knew that the second he plugged up to it, so we got that taken care of right away. That was the only issue we had with the car as far as getting her tuned and seeing how much power she made. So, um, so this should do us amazingly. So as you can see here, this is our horsepower. It comes on strong right from the beginning, ramps up, and probably this is unfortunately has wheel speed on it rather than RPM, but probably around the 3 to 4,000 RPM range. We're already over 300 horsepower. And then of course it ramps up to that 370 number, still pulling all the way out to whenever we stopped revving it, this was revved out to 6,300, looks like, just about. And same story with the torque. I mean, the torque obviously comes on super strong, holds nice and flat all the way through the pull, starts to fall off a little bit towards the end. So really, I feel like a good operating range for this thing is going to be anywhere from that like 4 to 5,000 RPM. Obviously it's going to like power. It's going to have plenty of power at higher RPMs, but we're going to fall off on torque a little bit. So really, this thing has an amazing power curve. I'm happy with it. Doesn't really feel laggy at all. I drove it around right after we got done tuning it. The second you lay off in the throttle, it'll light those back tires up. Pulls hard as hell. There's no lag or anything at all. So I'm extremely happy with it. This also tells me that the car should be pretty much ready to go to the track because everything else is done on it. There's no overheating issues. I mean, the front end's dialed in, rear end's done. Just had a fresh oil change. We may do another oil change since we did just beat on it some at the dyno. But if it held up to, 6 or 7 full pulls on the dyno and didn't show any signs of anything being wrong with it, no leaks, nothing weird at all, then I think we're ready to go to the track with this thing. So hopefully the next video you guys watch, we will be buttoning this thing up, loading it up, taking it and testing it out for the first time. But that's it for this video. This was definitely an awesome day. I've never seen a car on the dyno at all, so the fact that the first time I saw one being dynoed, it was something that I put together, and to see it go so well just makes me so happy, man. I'm so excited for the rest of this year and getting this car out here on the track and getting some tandems with the boys again, getting this thing sideways. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you've been following this build, this is obviously a point that's been a long time coming. So we finally are here. The car is done. We are ready to drive it. So anyways, guys, we will see you in the next one.